Hello and welcome back to Study Abroad and School Experience. This is my second time recording the voiceover for this video because on the first video there was no sound. So I watch everything that I produce on all of my channels. On my first view, my first like, and there was no sound. So I'm here to run it back. This is the second episode in a Black History Month series on HBCUs, and in today's episode, I'm going to be focusing on Xavier University. I was told that it is pronounced Xavier and not Xavier by my brother. He applied to the College of Pharmacy at this institution, and he was accepted some time ago, but he's a med school boy, so although he has a background in pharmacy and engineering and psychology, he's a med school boy. He's going to med school. But that's not the point of this video. So yeah, let's learn about Xavier University, the first and only HBCU that is a Catholic institution because it was founded by a saint. Okay, here's some background information on Xavier. So history for the university dates as far back as 1915. Former Philadelphia socialite Mother Catherine Drexel founded Sisters of Blessed Sacrament and devoted her life to basically promoting the education of African Americans and Native Americans. She opened up a high school in the area that was previously occupied by another HBCU in Louisiana, Southern University, which you all will receive a video on within the next few weeks. So the school offered teaching or education as a career option for Black Americans. This is the high school. In 1925, 10 years after the opening of the high school, Xavier University of Louisiana was founded and the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences was established. So the exact date of opening is October 6, 1925, and then 3 years after the opening of the institution, graduates received their degrees, later becoming the first graduates of this institution. In 1927, the College of Pharmacy was opened. Xavier University of Louisiana is accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges, and the acronym is there. All of the information presented in this PowerPoint was taken directly from Xavier University's website. And you'll see the source cited at the bottom of this PowerPoint. So why choose this institution? A part of their mission statement states the ultimate purpose of the university excuse me, is to contribute to the promotion of a more just and humane society by preparing its students to assume roles of leadership and service in a global society. So Xavier University is nationally recognized as a leader in the STEM field, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and health sciences field. Xavier University produces more African American student graduates from medical school each year. The College of Pharmacy produces or is the top producer of African American pharmacists. Xavier University prides itself on providing an environment that they label as nurturing students' intellect and offering a well-balanced curriculum. So they have a small course size, and enrollment in the school is not a lot as well. I believe it was around 3,330, but the numbers could be off because I've seen different numbers elsewhere. So on the site, the website, Xavier University's website, that is, they had two ratios in reference to the class sizes and faculty, teaching staff. So one area said a 13-to-1 ratio, and then another area said 15-to-1. So I put both, and this is in terms of how many students you can expect to find in a course essentially. So it's going to be a one faculty person per 13 or 15 students. So they pride themselves on small class sizes to like promote I guess or establish a a better relationship with the students and to help them thrive academically, because in large class sizes, the instructor professor may not be able to give the same attention or assistance to the students in need of help or additional help. Water break, because every time I do these videos, my throat be dry for whatever reason. Anyway, Xavier University also promotes undergraduate research, service learning, collaborative projects, and mentorship. Now, academic life is where the video is gonna get a bit winded because they offer a lot of things. Okay, so in the College of Arts and Sciences, you can find fine arts and humanities, art, English, history, language, music, philosophy, theology, and the arts of biological and applied health sciences, biology, public health sciences, speech, pathology, business, accounting, sales and marketing, finance, the division of business and faculty staff management, entrepreneurship. Under the social and behavioral science, there's mass communication, political science, psychology, sociology, education and counseling. Under mathematical and physical sciences, you can find chemistry, mathematics, physical, and computer science. And the images are not from Xavier University. They're just images that are added to kind of represent the different disciplines that's been discussed in this particular slide. Okay, so the background image on this PowerPoint slide is from Xavier University. It's from the College of Pharmacy's homepage, as well as the mini screenshot that you all see. So under the College of Pharmacy, they have the Division of Clinical and Administrative Sciences, the Division of Basic Pharmaceutical Sciences, PG1, I believe that's postgraduate year 1 pharmacy residency program, professional experience program, and a master's in pharmaceutical sciences. So now that we reached this point, are you considering applying to this institution? They have various requirements for different individuals, and they use the phrase first term freshman, and that's essentially in reference to traditional, in quotes, undergraduate students. So as I explained in the previous video in this series, traditional and non-traditional I used in reference to college students, and traditional usually means a high schooler who enters college directly after high school. And then non-traditional, it could be a transfer student, it could be someone who is older, various age ranges, but not a high schooler essentially, who entered college at a different point in their life. So yeah, so the requirements for incoming freshmen, first-time freshmen are so they offer, they state that they offer a holistic assessment of applicants interested in a university. This means that they look at all application components as a whole, and they're not supposed to, based on what they say, assess a student on academics alone. So it's a comprehensive review of the application and all of the supporting materials before they decide whether or not to send an offer of admission or rejection, essentially. So test scores are not required. Many institutions in the U.S. in particular have been waiving entry exams or test scores required to pursue higher education, and it's been going on basically since the height of the pandemic, and it's continuing because we're still in the pandemic. Yeah. So the application to apply for this institution is free. You have to complete the Xavier application or the common application. So they have two different applications, and they'll tell you which one you need to apply for when you go to apply. you need a letter of recommendation. They say from college counselor, and I'm going to assume that they mean a high school guidance counselor or someone who provides like a college prep type coursework to students. Because if you are an incoming freshman, you wouldn't necessarily be able to get a letter of recommendation from a college counselor unless you was in some type of college bridge program where you got to take college level courses while still in high school. So the average GPA based on previous years incoming freshmen was a 3.67, which is fairly competitive. The ACT score was around 22 and the SAT score was around 1100. Now, they say that test scores aren't required, but there are different requirements related to this, which is more than likely why they provided these stats. So you have to submit an official high school transcript. If you don't provide test scores, then you have to submit an essay. And you will also have to submit a resume. So job experience, volunteer experience, etc. If you don't provide either of these and you go the test score route, they will accept the highest ACT or SAT composite score, either or. You don't have to take one. And again, some states offer both and others it's just based on where you are regionally. So when I took the ACT, I was in Illinois, and that's basically because in my area and at my school, essentially, because you're taking your junior year of high school, that's what was offered. So applications are due by December 1st. So if you're considering, or if you want rather, because I always promote get the money from the school, let them pay for you. No loans if you don't have to. They have a preferred deadline for scholarship consideration, which is December 1st. So obviously, if you are a high school student, consider applying to this institution and you get your applications ready for next fall. Or not even next fall, because that would mean you will be graduating. But, I would say fall 2023. Yeah. Okay, so if you're a junior and you want to go to this school, you have to have your application to be I will say given maybe priority preference. You will have to submit your application by December 1st, 2022. And then general admission for the fall of 2023 would be March 1st of 2023. So I hope I didn't confuse you all. Anyway, international applicant requirements. So I'm pretty sure this is the TOEFL or TOEFL exam, so it's for non-native English speakers. So one of these exams are only required if the student has not met the SAT or ACT score requirements for English reading and writing, or if the applicant is a non-native English speaker. So if you are an international applicant and your scores they align with the standard posed by this institution, and you speak English, then you don't have to apply. But if your English is not your first language and or your scores don't meet the requirements in English reading or writing that they have set out, then you would need to take this examination, one or the other, not both. So you also have to provide proof of a certificate of financial support. So basically, documentation stating that somebody is going to pay for you to attend school, like how the cost of your attendance will be covered. And this is a private institution, and for private schools in the US anyway, the the tuition is the same across the board for all students. But of course, the different schools have different amounts that students are expected to pay for the semester. With public institutions, there's in-state tuition. If you're a resident of the state, then there's out-of-state tuition, which is usually or considerably a bit more, and then international tuition is also more than in-state tuition. So that's the difference between a public school, a public college, and the tuition in a private school. With private schools is the same all across the board. The only difference will be, of course, the course level coursework. So undergraduate tuition for private school is not going to be the same as graduate tuition, essentially. But if you're in-state, out-of-state, international, you can expect to pay the same amount. The application deadline for spring applicants for this is September 1st, and then the fall application is March 1st. So if you are an international student and you want to attend this institution and start in fall of 2022, which would be September or August, depending on when school starts for them. The fall semester usually starts in the States in August, mid to late August, so you would need to submit your application within the next few weeks in order to be considered for the fall deadline. If you miss that deadline and you want to start in the spring, so that would be January 2023, then you would need to submit your application and all supporting materials by September 1st of this year. Okay, graduate applicant deadlines and requirements. So the only program that has a different deadline than all the other programs is the speech language pathology program. So the application deadline for this program is January 15th for the fall semester. For the spring semester, the priority deadline is October 1st, which is why you see the little line going to October 1st. And then the general admission deadline is December 1st. For all other degree programs, the priority deadline is April 1st. And the general admission deadline is May 1st. The academic requirements for the doctorate in education relationship: you have to possess a master's degree, have a 3.0 GPA minimum, a minimum combined GRE score of 294, or the MAT score of 391. These scores are preferred but not required. And the GRE is the graduate record examination exam. So some institutions require that for you to obtain admission into their program. And then the MAT, this is something I've never heard of before until now. It is the Miller Analogies Test, and this is also another graduate examination that's required when applicants consider certain institutions, but for this program in particular, is preferred and not required because, as I stated previously, a lot of institutions in the U.S. have been waiving entry examination requirements due to the pandemic because it's ongoing. You need 2 letters of recommendation. So I have personal statement, statement of interest, statement of purpose, all beside each other, and that's because they relatively mean the same thing. You basically have to explain why you're considering this particular institution, this particular program, and what you plan to gain from it, essentially. You also have to provide a writing sample. So for this application, they provide applicants with a writing prompt. You have to submit transcripts from all institutions. So whatever institution you've ever attended, they want to see your transcripts. And you have to complete a successful, you have to interview successfully. So you can submit your application, but if you're not considered for an interview, they'll let you know. But the invitation is essentially invite only, so you have to be successful along with all of these things in order to gain admission into this particular program. Okay. Uh-oh. Next. Okay, slight hiccup with going to the next slide, but anyway, graduate applicant requirements, part 2. So for a Master of Arts in Counseling, the admission requirements are the following. A bachelor's degree, 2.5 GPA minimum. For the GRE or the MAT, is both. It's either, you can take either exam because it's required for this program, but they don't have a minimum score. You need 2 letters of recommendation, and you have to provide a personal statement or etc. as previously explained in the slide before this, and you'll be invited to do a group interview. It's invitation only. For the Master of Arts in Education and Leadership, a bachelor's degree is required, 2.5 GPA minimum to gain admission into this program. The minimum score for the GRE is 280. For the MAT is 380. It's preferred but not required. You need to provide 2 letters of recommendation or one of the following documents regarding to why you want to attend the school, apply to the program, etc. In order to apply for and be successful in gaining admission into the Master of Arts in Teaching graduate program, you have to complete the application. The GRE or MAT is required, either or. They don't have a minimum score. You need to do the applicant clearance through Student Health Services before registration. You need 2 professional references. You must pass the pre-professional skills test, and you have to pass the content exam. And then on this, the right side of the screen, there's a blurb related to this particular program, what scores will be assigned you, or the things that you can use in lieu of taking the required exams in the state of Louisiana. For a Master of Public Health and Health Equity, bachelor's degree is required. 2.7 GPA is the minimum GPA. The GRE or the MAT are preferred but not required. You need to provide 3 letters of recommendation and a statement of purpose, etc. All of those, statement of this, statement of that, it falls under the same guidelines, but of course what they ask will be different. And for this one in particular, they want to know why you're interested in pursuing an MPH, in your career goals, etc. You need to provide official transcripts from all the institutions that you've attended. For the Master of Theology, a bachelor's degree is required, 2.5 GPA minimum. The GRE minimum score 280, MAT 380 preferred but not required. 3 letters of recommendation, 2 academic, and 1 has to be from a pastor or someone who can attest to your church and or community work, and a statement of interest explaining, why you're interested in applying for the program at that institution. A Master of Science in Speech Pathology. A bachelor's degree is required. You have to have a 3.0 GPA minimum, that's preferred, and then a 3.2 minimum GPA in communication sciences and disorder courses. So to explain the different GPA requirements, I'll use myself for example. In college, my major GPA, once I changed my GPA from biology to sociology anthropology, was a 4.0. My cumulative or overall GPA was a 3.71. So if I plug in those numbers that I just provided for this, my GPA of a 3.71, so I have a bachelor's degree check, my GPA of a 3.71, I exceed the minimum requirement check, okay, and then in my core courses, so for my major GPA was a 4.0, okay, check. So for this program in particular, that's what it means when it says overall GPA, a 3.0 minimum is preferred. And then for core courses, and it has communication sciences and disorder courses, your GPA has to be at minimum at least a 3.2. Okay, hope that's understandable. Now, 3 letters of recommendation are required. 2 have to be academic. 1 is professional or personal statement explaining why you're interested in the program. You will receive an interview invite if your application is, being moved further along in the process. So this is what I always say in reference to interviews. If you receive an interview, you have whatever you're seeking. So if it's for a job, you already have the job. If it's for a graduate program, you have the program. It's yours, but the interview, your successful completion of the interview is you keeping the job or your offer or a spot or place of admission in that particular program. So think about it that way to reduce the stress. For the GRE, a 280 is preferred, verbal and quantitative reasoning, and then a 3.0 is preferred for the writing score. For the TOEFL exam is what I think it's called. You need a minimum of a 600 on the written exam, and then if you take the exam online, you need a minimum of 100. You have to take either the GRE or the MAT. One of those exams, because it's required for this program. Now for international graduates, if you're a non-native English speaker, then you have to have at least a 550 on the paper-based, so written, essentially, TOEFL exam. And then if you take the internet-based exam, you need a minimum of 80. And then for the IELTS, the minimum score is a 7.0. You also have to provide a Xavier University certificate of financial support. So it's a notarized form indicating who will cover the student's cost of attendance. And I don't know about for other states, but in the state of New York, essentially you go to somebody who is a notary public, and then you talk to them, explain what's going on, give them the document. They watch you sign the document, they sign the document, and then they notarize it. They're not supposed to notarize the document if they didn't see you sign it, okay? Coursework from previous institutions outside of the U.S. have to be evaluated to ensure that they kind of align or meet the minimum requirements for this particular program at this university. And they have different agencies that they recommend regarding this evaluation process. Readmission. So current students who were not enrolled the previous semester must apply for readmission. Graduate students seeking readmission must submit a readmission application prior to registration. And all of the details regarding these different applications will be in the description box below. So for the College of Pharmacy graduate requirements, you have to complete the XU, so Xavier University COP pre-pharmacy requirements. So various prerequisites that I needed before basically you can apply and then essentially be admitted into the program. You need a 2.75 GPA, And the course requirements. So what I explained before this point, a 2.57 minimum GPA is preferred in math and science. For your math and science GPA. For transfer students, they have a list of accepted prereqs because certain courses are different in certain institutions that in certain states, and everything doesn't transfer over. You have to complete the form CAS application, provide official transcripts. You must submit a 500-word essay outlining why you want to be a pharmacist, 3 letters of recommendation. They're seeking a math or science academic reference, so at least 1 or 2 of those have to be there. And then for the non-academic reference, it can be personal, but of course you can't use family members. You'll be invited for an interview, and they state that if your GPA is less than a 3.0, so they're willing to accept a 2.75 GPA minimum overall in math and science, core courses. But if your GPA is that or anything between that and a 3.0 for the math, science, and prerequisite GPA, they will automatically enroll you into an academic enrichment program. So this is a new program at the university. It became a thing at the beginning of this year. So the first cohort of physician assistant students, they started in January of 2022, according to what I've seen on the school's website. So the university partnered with Ochsner Health System to advance the education of its students via a new physician assistant program. So PA, the program is a 28-month program. It's a master's degree program, and it has 12 consecutive month didactic phase, and will include 16 months of clinical training within the Ochsner Health System. So this program received a RCPA. It has it's been provisionally accredited. So it's an accredited program, but it's provisional. So conditional, so to speak. So as long as the students and staff meet the certain requirements, then, and it being a new program, once it passes a certain state, it'll be accredited. It won't be provisional, but this is a new program. So to apply, you have to complete this the CAS PA application and pay the fee. You must submit official transcripts from all institutions. Applications for this program open in late April, so if you're considering applying for the next cohort, which will be January 2023, you have to wait until the application opens in late April. It's due by August 1st. Interviews for this program will begin in June and continue throughout August, and of course, as I stated before, classes start in January. 3 letters of recommendation are required. At least one of the letters has to be from a physician assistant or a physician. So a PA, physician assistant, is basically, think of I guess a mix between a nurse and a doctor, but it's not essentially. The person wouldn't be a nurse or a doctor. So if you've ever been to like an urgent care clinic, they have a lot of physician assistants. I've only been like 2 times, and that was my first time going, and then of course the second time. But they have a lot of physician assistants. And then there's someone who I'm subscribed to on YouTube, then the physician assistant program in California. So yeah, that's the best way for me to explain it. It's a medical professional. Think of something, I guess, maybe a mix between a nurse and a physician, but not either or, because they're their own separate entity, and they have to do training and clinical work and have clinical experience that's related to that discipline in particular. You have to provide a personal statement of intent. The overall GPA, the science GPA, the prerequisite GPA must be at least a 3.0 or higher on a 4.0 scale. If you don't have at least 3.0, you basically shouldn't apply to this program because they state that your application will not be considered. So if for some reason you're lacking in either of those areas and you're interested in the program at this institution, if you can afford to maybe take a science course or whichever course caused your GPA to be below the minimum requirement, if you are financially able to do so, retake the course at a local community college or courses to boost your GPA, because students do that all the time. And then once you've done that, submit your application so that you have a better chance of moving forward through the process. So you need a minimum of 80 hours of healthcare experience. So as I stated before, I'm actually subscribed to someone who is a PA student. This is not my discipline, but I'm using it to provide additional context. And I watch a lot of medical professionals because at one point I did want to be a medical professional. I wanted to be a doctor, and I did major in biology in college in the beginning with the intention of being pre-med and then medical school, etc. But I changed my mind, and now I'm going to be a different kind of doctor, and my brother is the one who will be the medical doctor, Oliver. But anyway, you need a minimum of 80 hours of healthcare experience. So the person who is in PA school that I'm subscribed to, he was previously an ER nurse before he applied to this program or programs and then gained admission and essentially accepted an offer. So he has those requirements, so some type of experience in healthcare, and it has to be a minimum of 80 hours. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't have to be nursing essentially, but it has to be in the healthcare field. And always, if interested, you can clarify with the admissions department to see if something works or if it won't work. You have to complete all the prereqs. The student must meet and maintain technical requirements to be admitted, so everything I outlined above, and then you have to continue on and get good grades and be academically sound and do what is required of you as a student in this program once you gain admission to remain in the program. And then eventually take the licensing exam, graduate, get a job as a PA in the hospital, a clinic, urgent care, whatever. You have to take a graduate exam. So, two things here. They say you can take the GRE or the MCAT. The MCAT is what students pursuing med school take, and I already explained that the GRE is a graduate exam that students take to get into graduate programs. So you need at minimum a 290 on the verbal and quantitative GRE test. You need a minimum of a 3 on the writing section. And if you take the MCAT, you need a minimum score of a 496. They have certain exams that they don't accept, but they say that you can take either or of these exams. And then I put the GRE code, so because they have it. So the GRE is usually online unless circumstances prevent you from taking the exam online. The code is 4433. So after you take the exam, you can send your scores directly to the schools. And if you want to enter the code manually, you can do so. And I think they may have the option to let you send it directly to the school, because when I took it, it was online. Yeah. Okay, financial aid and tuition assistance. So you have to apply for FAFSA at FAFSA.gov. That's the first step. For undergraduate students, if you haven't received a bachelor's degree, because some people, they do get 2 undergraduate degrees for one reason or another, and I'm not talking about someone who decides to double major. If you've never received one, you may be eligible for the following grants. So the Pell Grant, I had that before. The Federal Supplemental Education Grant. This is determined by need, and they give between $200 to $4,000 per academic school year, so not per semester, per school year. The Teach Grant is for teachers or those pursuing becoming teachers following graduation. Is determined by that, and of course you have to meet certain requirements, and they will provide up to $4,000 per year. The XU, so Xavier University emergency grant is given to those who have unforeseen financial emergencies. The GOLD grant supports non-traditional and low to moderate income students in the state of Louisiana who are residents and in need of additional assistance. Again, non-traditional students, I explained what that means in the last video, and then in this video briefly. Federal work studies, that's a part of applying for FAFSA, etc., financial award letter, etc. You get a job at school working, and you receive a certain amount of money every 2 weeks, however they do it. There's also income contingent funding. So it says Student Freedom Initiative is a nonprofit organization dedicated to ensuring freedom and professional and life choices for students attending minority-serving institutions, with an initial emphasis on HBCUs like Xavier University of Louisiana. While Student Freedom Initiative student support services such as mentoring, internships, and tutoring will be open to all students at Xavier University of Louisiana, regardless of undergraduate standing. The Student Freedom Agreement is limited initially. Scholarships. So these are the different scholarships that they offer. I'm not going to go through it because this video is already long, and I kind of went through them the first time I recorded this, but information regarding these scholarships and others will be in the description box below, because on this channel and in real life, I promote hashtag show me the money. Let them pay for your education. Get all the money you can get. A loan, a federal loan, don't do private, but some people go the private route, but don't do Sally Mae, because I've heard bad things, that is not the best. So if you have to take out a loan for some unfortunate reason, please go the Fed loan route. It's easier, less drama that way. Let them pay for you. School should be free. But it's not. There's a cost attached to it essentially, and some people are able to obtain 4 rides, so where all the tuition is covered, and then some are not, unfortunately, but there are scholarship options for everybody, and you can have your education covered as to where you won't have to pay anything out of pocket. And UNICEF, the United Negro College Fund, they always have scholarships associated with HBCUs, so check them out. The cost of attendance the cost of attendance, so this is tuition amounts per semester. Everything is listed below. I'm not going to go through it, and as I explained previously, this is a private institution, and with private institutions, students pay the same tuition cost essentially across the board. It just varies based on the program of course, and if you are undergrad versus graduate school, whereas a public institution, if you're in-state, out-of-state, or international, you pay different tuition amounts. Housing, room and board per semester. So they had different information on the website, and the first bullet point was essentially something that students could expect to pay depending on the circumstances. They had a long list, and I'll link. The link for housing information will be in the description box, but for the numbers after freshman and continuing, I just put what the cost would be per semester if the student was living solo. The offsite options, I saw this on something else, which is why it has 2020 rate and parentheses for 2 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms. It's Uno and out, site 1 and site 2. Essentially, the more people who live together, the less the housing fee will be, is what I've come to conclude. They have a housing fee, a laundry fee, a security deposit, and a non-refundable room reservation fee. This is the meal plans per semester. I was only able to find one meal plan, and it said meal plan rate for commuter students. So that's what it is. And this picture is obviously not from the school's website. I just got it out of stock images on my computer, and it looks like maybe a pulled pork sandwich or pulled chicken is there to demonstrate or represent food or a meal. Campus life. So these are the different clubs that they offer at this institution, and on the left is a screenshot of the campus life image on their website. Additional clubs, Chicago Club. I had to say that one because Chi-Town. Hello, I'm from Chicago. These are more clubs. And in terms of Greek life, I didn't see anything on the page that I got all of this information from. But when I typed in the search by Greek life, it said that they had 8 fraternities and sororities. So they have 8 out of 9 of the Divine 9. So I don't know what's going on with that, but if you're interested, you can ask, upon admission about like the different Greek life opportunities that they may have there. And finally, so I'm closing this video out for the second time because like I said, I did all of this last night. It took a long time, but the sound was off. All information presented in this PowerPoint was taken directly from Xavier University of Louisiana's website, and it is always for educational and informational purposes only. All of the information you need regarding links and contact information will be in the description box below. And like the young lady in the picture, I hope you are considering applying to Xavier University. I mean, the image is not from this school. It's another stock image, and it's being used to represent, a young black woman studying or applying to college. And in this particular instance, we're going to say that she's considering or applying to Xavier University. As always, be well, stay safe, take care, and keep studying. Ciao. I gotta go because y'all gonna receive 2 videos today because this one wasn't cooperating yesterday. Alright, bye.